You're floating in absolute darkness, 2 miles beneath the surface. The pressure would crush you instantly. No light has reached this depth for millions of years. And somewhere in this void, a creature smaller than your finger is hunting for something far more disturbing than food. He's hunting for a mate, and when he finds her, he's going to bite into her flesh and dissolve. Certain species of deep-sea anglerfish have evolved the most horrifying reproductive strategy in nature, and the deeper we go into understanding it, the more it reveals about what survival really costs in the planet's most extreme environment. Let's start with what you probably know. Female anglerfish are the ones you've seen in documentaries, those nightmarish faces with teeth like broken glass and that glowing lure dangling in front of their mouths. They can grow to 3 feet long. They're ambush predators perfectly designed for a place where food is so scarce that some species only eat a few times per year. The males? They're almost a different species entirely. A male anglerfish is tiny. We're talking less than an inch long in some species, barely bigger than your thumbnail. He has no lure, no impressive teeth, no hunting adaptations whatsoever. His eyes are enormous relative to his body, and his sense of smell is absurdly overdeveloped. Because his entire existence has been reduced to one single biological imperative: find a female before his energy runs out. His digestive system is severely reduced, barely functional. He's born with limited energy reserves to swim through the darkness, searching. That's his window. Find her or die alone in the void. Now imagine what that means mathematically. The deep sea is the largest habitat on Earth, over 1 billion cubic kilometers of water. Anglerfish populations are scattered across this incomprehensible volume at incredibly low densities. The odds of a male randomly encountering a female in the darkness are astronomically small. So, evolution did something radical. When a male finds a female, following pheromone trails that drift through kilometers of water, he doesn't court her. He doesn't compete with other males. He bites into her body and refuses to let go. And then, the nightmare starts. His mouth fuses to her flesh, not attached, fused. His lips, his face, the tissue of his head begin breaking down at a cellular level and merging with her skin. Enzymes dissolve the boundary between their bodies. His bloodstream connects to hers. Her blood begins flowing through his veins, feeding him, keeping him alive. He stops being an independent organism. His eyes degenerate because he doesn't need them anymore. His internal organs break down. Heart, brain, digestive system, everything except his reproductive system begins to atrophy. He becomes a parasitic appendage, a living sperm bank fused to her body, sustained entirely by her blood. This isn't symbolic, this isn't metaphor. One organism has literally absorbed another. But it gets stranger, because females don't just collect one male, they collect several. Scientists have found female anglerfish with 6, 7, 8 males fused to their bodies, grotesque ornaments hanging off their skin, all connected to her circulatory system, all permanently dependent on her survival. And here's what makes this even more disturbing from a biological perspective. This should be impossible. Your immune system exists to destroy foreign tissue. It's why organ transplants require a lifetime of immunosuppressant drugs. It's why your body rejects a splinter. The recognition of self versus non-self is one of the most fundamental programs in biology. When foreign tissue enters your body, your immune system goes to war. But these anglerfish have somehow shut this down. The female's immune system doesn't just tolerate the male, it facilitates the fusion. The two fish exchange tissues, share blood, and merge at a genetic level without triggering the catastrophic immune response that would occur in almost any other animal. Scientists studying this discovered something remarkable in 2020. These anglerfish have dramatically reduced major histocompatibility complex genes, the genetic machinery that normally flags foreign tissue for destruction. They've essentially evolved a controlled form of immunodeficiency specifically for reproduction. Think about the implications. This isn't just weird behavior. This is a fundamental rewiring of immune function that took millions of years of evolution. The pressure to reproduce in the deep sea was so intense that natural selection favored suppressing one of the most critical survival systems in biology. Because here's the reality. At these depths, you might only encounter a mate once in your entire life, maybe never. Food is scarce, energy is precious, and wasting reproductive potential is a death sentence for your genes. If a male finds a female, he cannot risk swimming away and hoping to find another. If a female encounters a male, she cannot risk that sperm not being available when her eggs are ready months later. So, the male becomes a permanent part of her body, always ready, always available. Guaranteed fertilization whenever she needs it. From an evolutionary perspective, it's brutally efficient. From any other perspective, it's body horror. And it reveals something profound about life in the deep sea. Normal rules don't apply. The strategies that work in shallow water, courtship displays, mate competition, parental care, they're luxuries. They require energy, encounters, options. The deep sea offers none of these. So, evolution strips everything down to raw function. The male doesn't need to hunt effectively, so his digestive system withers. He doesn't need to navigate after finding a female, so he loses his eyes. He doesn't need independence, so he loses his body. What remains is the absolute minimum necessary to pass on genes. Everything else is waste. Not all anglerfish reproduce this way. Shallow water species and even some deep sea species have more conventional mating, but the species that live in the deepest, most extreme environments, about 22 species in the suborder Ceratiidae, evolved this solution, and it's the most extreme reproductive strategy known to science. This is what makes deep sea biology so disturbing to us. These aren't monsters. They're the logical conclusion of survival in an environment where every calorie counts, where encounters are impossibly rare, and where reproductive failure means genetic extinction. The anglerfish's sexual parasitism is an adaptation, just like the viperfish's teeth or the giant squid's eyes. It's a solution to a problem. The problem is, how do you reproduce when you live in the largest, darkest, most empty habitat on the planet? And the answer evolution found was, stop being two organisms, become one. Scientists have only recently begun understanding the genetic mechanisms that make this possible. Research published in 2020 identified the specific immune genes that have been suppressed or lost in these anglerfish lineages. It's the same genetic machinery that prevents your body from accepting a transplant, and these fish have evolutionarily disabled it. This has implications beyond weird fish facts. Understanding how anglerfish achieve tissue fusion and shared bloodstreams without immune rejection could have applications in human medicine, transplant research, tissue engineering, understanding autoimmune disorders. But it also reveals something about evolution itself. There's no limit to how strange the solutions can be. Natural selection doesn't care about our comfort or our categories. It doesn't care that fusion reproduction feels disturbing. It only cares what works. And in the deep sea, where population densities are impossibly low and every encounter is precious, this works. These anglerfish aren't an aberration. They're not a mistake or a horror story. They're precision tools, carved by millions of years of pressure into the exact shape necessary for survival in the abyss. Every aspect of their reproduction, the size difference, the parasitism, the immune suppression, the permanent fusion, is a direct response to the environment. Remove the extreme depth, restore the light, increase the food supply, raise the population density, and this strategy makes no sense. It's costly, it's risky, it's restrictive. But in the deepest parts of the ocean, it's perfect. That's the pattern you see again and again as you descend. The deeper you go, the more alien the solutions become. Not because deep-sea creatures are weird for the sake of being weird, but because the problems they're solving are so extreme that normal solutions fail. The anglerfish's reproduction isn't disturbing because it's abnormal. It's disturbing because it's so ruthlessly, perfectly normal for where it lives. And that's what makes the deep sea endlessly fascinating. Every creature is a case study in how far evolution will go when survival demands it. Every adaptation is a window into pressures we can barely imagine. These anglerfish found their solution. It works. The males live on as parasites, the females carry multiple mates, and the species survive in a place where survival shouldn't be possible. Somewhere in the darkness, right now, a male smaller than your finger is following a chemical trail through the void, searching for the one encounter that will define his existence. When he finds her, he'll bite down and never let go. And he'll become something else entirely.